Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, episode 32, Outdoor Adventures, taking your dog out in public. Today, we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to all dog owners' hearts, which is when you go out in public and you see other people out with their dogs, and you're like, "Aw, I wish I could bring my dog." Yeah, how fun. Yeah. How fun. And why can't we bring our dogs?
Right.
This can quickly derail into where your dog should be and where they shouldn't be. But we're going to cover dog-friendly locations. We're not going to dip our foot into the fake service dog world.
Yeah.
Of where dogs should be and shouldn't be.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before we do that, quick updates on a couple of things. We are super close to 1,000 all-time downloads. We are 923, hoping to hit in the next 2 weeks, hoping to hit that 1,000 number. So that is exciting. Yeah. Additionally, we are super live and working on the Paw Print Academy app. You can, if you hear us talking about the app or anything that we are doing with the app, you can reach it. It is a web app, so you can use it on your phone, your tablet, your PC, a Mac, all of the different platforms. You can access it at thepawprintacademy.com. We just did, if you have it and you know what we're talking about here, we just updated, we pushed a huge update where we completely revamped the login process. One of the issues I was having was constantly getting logged out, and we were using a login client that was probably lower budget than what we should have been using. And so that has been completely revamped and upgraded, and now I have complete control of the login process. So nice. That is good because of 2 things. One, I completely control the what you can use to log in and how easy it is to log in. Should be significantly simpler. The second one is that I can control the timeline for how often you have to log in now. And so this should streamline the whole process, make things much less buggy.
Yeah.
So if you are using it and that has been something you've noticed, I'm sorry.
Everybody starts somewhere, right?
We're working through it.
Yeah.
I self-admittedly am a dog trainer, not an app developer, not a web developer. I am absolutely doing the best I can. Yeah. But that being said, if you are using that and you want to take advantage of it, one, it's totally free. You don't have to pay a dime. It doesn't require a credit card to sign up. Sign up, take a look, play with the different things. There's a bunch of the courses, the video courses and things that are in there that the first lesson's totally free. Like even the premium upgrades, you get access to a lot of the things just to try out before you commit to upgrading. And even if you upgrade, it's $12.99 a month. And you get access to everything. So it's not a money grab. It's the whole goal is just to support the platform, the costs involved with maintaining the platform, and creating a very low budget way that the person that really needs help with their dog can access that type of help without having to pay the traditional costs of, traditional professional dog training. All right. Those things aside, the last little announcement here is that if you are listening to this and you say to yourself, man, I'd like to be on that podcast, or I'd like to be a guest, or you'd like to do an interview, or you'd like to just participate and be in the question and answer session. The ways that you can do that is you sign up for the app totally free. All you need is an email. You go in, and in the menu, you're going to see events and local. And under that little tab, there's events and announcements. Just open that guy, and there is a tile there that says live podcast RSVP. Each week, you can just tap that you want to RSVP. And there's no limit to how many times you can do this. But we just have a certain number of spots just so we don't convolute the entire thing. If for some reason we got super popular all of the sudden, which we're not, but if we did, we want to make sure that we can still bring quality to the people that do dial in there. So there are a certain number of spots that are designated each week, and you can snag one of those spots. You'll get an email. You'll get the link to dial in with us when we're actually recording this, and come hang out, ask questions. We talk a little bit before and after our actual recording session too, and we'd be happy to answer any dog training questions that you have, completely free, no obligation, no nothing to sign up for.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so those are the announcements, and now, without further ado, outdoor adventures. So taking your dog into public is not about showing the dog or the dog's skills off. And I see this every single time that I take my dog out. And really every time I'm out at a dog-friendly place, right? We see someone with a dog, and they are so proud of how their dog is being so good right up until they're not. This is not to take a dump on those that are proud of their dog. That's not what we're saying. What I do want to bring in this like core idea of this episode is that taking your dog out in public is not about your dog being the main event.
Yeah.
And that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because for sure, you should show off how beautiful and great your dog is.
Right.
For
Super
sure,
cute.
you should show off how cute they are, or how good they are, or what a good boy, what a good girl they are. Those are fine. But if you go out with the concept or the mindset that I am going to show off how good my dog's behavior is, you're going to accidentally push too far. And if you have a regression, we're going to talk about what that looks like. And then you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, how did this happen?
Oh, no.
Right. Well, we probably did it to ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot. So when we take our dogs out, for sure we want them to be able to meet people. For sure we want people to be able to pet them. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's more about building a relationship with your dog.
Yeah.
Including your dog in some of the things that you like to do. Because when we're at home, we play with our dogs. We do things with our dogs. Maybe you go on a trail walk or a trail run. Those are things that probably your dog likes to do too. But when you go to a dog-friendly, we'll use a brewery because we have one locally that we really like to use. When you take your dog to the local brewery where they are dog-friendly, not so much for the dog.
Right.
And that's okay because you're including your dog in your life, in your lifestyle, in your outing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's remember as we go through today's episode how we can best do that to bolster your relationship with your dog and also continue to increase the stability that you've worked so hard to build with your dog.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, so I think we have to also remember who we're talking to on this podcast, because if your dog is just so good, either because you train them so well or because they're a dog with great genetics and they're just bulletproof, you're probably not listening to this episode.
Right.
You're probably not listening to this podcast. So the people that are listening are the people that are like, oh my, they're either, man, I would really love to do that, or they're like, oh no, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
I probably will never be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to explain to you through this episode that you can be that person that gets to do that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Let's just keep it in perspective.
Right, and it takes small steps and it takes some time and some steady progress, but you for sure can do that.
For sure. All right, so point number 1. This whole process starts before you even leave the house.
Right, because if you don't have things there, you're not going to have it at the brewery.
Right.
Or the coffee shop or the park or wherever.
So I did an entire course on the course is called Calm at the Clinic, and it's on vet care, right? Mm-hmm. It's up on the app now. And I talk about the same process with the vet. If you are having trouble at the vet, my guess is that things aren't going perfectly for you at home either.
Right.
Now, there are the one-offs that it's like, nope, my dog just doesn't like the vet and everything else, he's completely perfect. Okay, got it. But my guess is that we could still increase and bolster and reinforce and make better certain things in the household, which will then translate to the vet.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same thing. Public access starts before you leave the house. And most public failures are created long before the dog actually reaches the steps of the brewery, in this case. Dogs that lack structure at home, oftentimes they fall apart as soon as they get outside the home.
Yep.
And if you can't manage or have those wins inside the home where the dog is at its most relaxed state, at its lowest level of arousal, as soon as we add dogs and people and cars and noises and music and smells and different sounds and all of these things, you are in for a rough time.
Yeah, because imagine if you can't walk your dog down the street without them pulling you. If you're going to go into a brewery, they're going to pull you everywhere to everything.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be so many exciting things there.
Yeah. And so one of the ways that I like to, there's two, what is it? Story? I don't know. Examples. My word. There's 2 examples that I like to give to explain this process. When we talk about the level of arousal and how it's hard to break through, or it lowers the dog's ability to focus through stress. 2 things. 1, if you're at a concert and you're right next to the stage where all the speakers are, and you were standing next to me trying to give me directions, right, to a place.
Yeah.
It's highly likely that I'm going to get those directions wrong.
Right. It's like my telephone.
Right. It's just because there's so much stimulation there. But if we step back a ways, I can get I'll get better clarity on those directions. And if we really move away, far away, I'll be able to hear it very, very clearly and probably even be able to write it down and see it, on my little pad of paper because the lighting will probably be better. Now that's the first example. The second example is, what is the first thing that you do when you are lost in the car? What's the very first thing that you do? You immediately turn the radio down.
Yeah, I was just talking to my son about that the other day.
Right. You're like, all right, Britney Spears, I don't have time for you. Like, quiet. Be quiet. I need to concentrate. But we do that naturally. We have that reaction. We're like, I'm overstimulated. I'm overstressed. I need to concentrate. What do? Turn the noise down. Mm-hmm. Guess what your dog cannot do?
Right. Turn the noise down.
They cannot turn the knob down. Mm-hmm. So when you put them in that experience and they're overstimulated, and then you're asking them, do this and do this and do this and do this, they can't.
Yeah.
But they can't because they're overstimulated. And what you can do, I'm giving you the answer up front, what you can do and what you should be doing is we should be instituting that structure and clarity at home without the distraction, without that arousal, without that craziness.
Yeah.
So that it's natural, it's normal, it's easy. And then when your dog has to deal with that overstimulation, now they have the ability to do that.
Right, because I think so many people go straight from like the backyard and working with their dog and doing all these things in the backyard or in their front yard even. And then they jump straight to a brewery, straight to a crowded area, some sort of like overstimulating place for a dog. And then they expect them to handle it the same as they did in the backyard.
Right. But the backyard is like first grade, right?
Yeah.
The living room is kindergarten. Mm-hmm. The backyard is first grade.
Yep.
The brewery is like sophomore in high school.
Like you've jumped to high school.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Right. I like to really start and focus on the calm, slow, quiet places. Think of like places where you would go to like work from home, like quiet coffee shops, places that are so quiet and relaxed that you're like, I could work here.
Right. That's a great thought process to that. It's like, where can you concentrate?
Right.
If you can't concentrate, if you wouldn't go to that place in order to concentrate,
right, then your dog probably can't.
You're putting your dog in a place where they can't either.
Right. And it's very dog dependent, right? But if you're working with a fearful dog, if you're working with a reactive dog, if you're working with any of that, you need to be spaced out to where that dog can breathe and mentally like think through it without having to be on their toes about their decision-making process. Because that's also what the distance is about when you're talking about being in public. You're talking about creating a distance so that a dog has more time to think through their decisions and what they should do about what's happening. And it's not something popping up right around the corner at them where they're like, oh, that's freaking me out.
Yeah. And a dog, there's some pretty non-negotiable standards that your dog should understand before you put them in those positions. Mm-hmm. Right? So, number one, your dog should understand the concept of leash pressure and how to turn the leash pressure off.
Yeah. Because
if they don't, you're going to put them in a position where they may get into a situation where they feel fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And when they are pulling against a leash, they don't understand, because you never taught them, they don't understand how to get away from the pressure. They just feel the pressure.
Yeah.
And because they're pulling on the leash and they're pulling and pulling and pulling, they feel trapped. Mm-hmm. Now they're in a situation where they're overstimulated. Maybe there's another dog. Maybe there's a scary something, right? Flags tend to get dogs,
yep.
right? Because they blow around and there's no noise to them and they just move. Super scary. And when those things happen, your dog tries to pull through the event. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is that they're in fight or flight, and you have taken away the ability to flight because they can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And now what do you expect your dog to do? And then your dog has a blow up or lashes out or bluffs their way through a situation where they just blow up barking.
Mm-hmm.
Not even aggressive, just defensive. Just like, no, you better stay away, because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And then you're embarrassed and you're mad at your dog, and your dog's like, I don't know what to do.
Right, but not even always those circumstances, right? There's people that take their dogs in public and their dog is super tolerant of being put in those situations. And they think that the dog is excited to be there, but the dog is overstimulated and anxious.
Yeah.
And they're like walking around to everybody, like panting and like jumping up on people. And they're like, oh, he's so excited to be here. He loves being here.
Yeah.
But that dog is anxious. That dog is nervous. That dog is stressed. But when a dog is stressed, most of the time that comes out as either like a fearful dog where you can detect that they're like nervous and anxious, or it comes out as a dog that's overly excited and likes to jump on people and interact, air quotes.
Yeah. Other things your dog should know, right? You should have some baseline communication with them. Mm-hmm. Your dog should probably know some marker words of like what good means, right? What good boy or good girl. Is that really definitive of their actions? Is it describing that they did the right thing? Is there a word that means they did the wrong thing? Do they know what those mean? Right? Yeah. Basic communication. Your dog has to have some engagement with you. If you're taking your dog, if you've never heard of engagement, you don't know what it is, your dog doesn't know what it is, and you're taking them out in public, good luck.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to care about you and where you are. They care about what they see and what they want to get to.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, just lay down. Just lay down. Mm-hmm. Well, the dog doesn't know anything, right? Because engagement is a step that comes before even obedience. Mm-hmm. You have to have some engagement. And engagement just means like the ability to hold your dog's attention.
Yeah.
Or the ability for your dog to want to give you their attention, to look for guidance. Mm-hmm. And then finally, your dog should be able to maintain some sort of calm positioning, whether that is place or down or sit or whatever.
Yeah, you won't catch me taking a dog anywhere if they can't place or down. I'll
right,
take
because
either
what do you
of those,
expect them to do?
Yeah.
You expect them to just stand there and pace? Yeah, because that's what usually ends up happening.
Yep.
A dog who has never truly mastered a down for any type of duration or place for any type of duration, what are they going to do?
Right.
Like, ask yourself that question. You want to take your dog out. Cool. What are they going to do? What do you want them to do? And if you want them to do a certain set of expectations, but you know for a fact you've never taught them that, well, then that's not really a very fair situation to put your dog into. Mm-hmm. So just work on it.
Yeah.
And then go to the dog-friendly place.
Yep.
No reason you can't work through it and go. We are not saying that. I hope that more people can bring their dogs places. But these are the things that you need to do first.
Right. And I mean, we have an in-home integration dog right now. We've gotten a 4-week program. We're on 2 weeks and we've started going on public outings. And he had crazy reactivity to dogs and people and is super fearful of men especially, but anything really. And we went to like 3 or 4 different places today and we worked through things as they came up. But we're 2 weeks in and I'm confident in his down, in his place, in his ability to engage with me and his level of trust in me also. And so we've branched into that. And you take 2 weeks with your dog working on solid foundation work and you could be out in public with your dog.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we talked about some of the foundational skills that we want to have before we enter those public spaces. Another one let's talk about what some of the home structure is that directly impacts that behavior in public, right? So we mentioned place.
Yep.
I think another big one is threshold manners.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because if you open the door to the backyard, front door, doesn't matter, whatever, car door, all of this, if you open the door to a threshold and your dog blows through it without looking to you at all,
yeah,
I am perplexed at how you think this is going to go well when you get into a public setting. Because that shows you that your dog does not look to you.
Yeah.
For any type of engagement or otherwise.
Right. We ran into an instance today where there was a lady with her dog and he looked like he was doing great, but she was the only one there when I showed up with me and my dog. And within a couple of minutes, that dog was a totally different dog. It was whining. It was like barking. It almost pulled her backwards out of her chair trying to get to me and the dog I had with me. And I heard her at one point say, well, he usually does so good. Right. But it seems like he usually does so good when there's no dogs or people around. And in those instances, when you change up the environment on your dog and you haven't tested that dog or taught them how to act in other overstimulating environments, they just don't know. And versus correcting, comforting, or whatever you need to do with that dog, there's a huge difference in how that dog sees them being in a place by themselves and somebody else entering their environment.
Right. And so that kind of jumps into that neutrality concept, right? Where the goal in public is calm coexistence.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about greeting every dog and every person. It's not about seeing every other, everything that goes on. And it's like, I want that. I want this. I want this.
Yeah.
It's about just seeing it and noticing it going, cool. It's scenery. And we do train this through putting the dog in those positions and letting them see more things.
Yeah.
Right? That is a real thing. But we also make sure that we have some of these basics so we have something we can tell the dog to do. Because if you go out, and I'm going to say it one more time, but like when you go out and you don't have a plan and you don't know how this is going to go, or you don't know what you're going to do, or you don't know what you're going to ask your dog to do, well, then they probably don't know either.
Right. If you just go out and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take my dog. And you just go, it's like, one, do you have poop bags? Because that's
right.
That's my first problem is like, I have to plan ahead. Yeah. And two, it's like, what is your dog? What's the purpose of your dog being there? Your dog should have a purpose there. And if your dog doesn't have a purpose or you don't have a purpose for your dog, then your dog's going to create their own purpose.
Right? They're going to find something to do.
They're like, this is why I'm here. I'm here to party.
Yeah.
Like, they will figure it out themselves.
Hi, my name is Dexter and I'm here to party.
Yeah, every time.
Every time. All right. So allowing constant interactions between your dog and other things, people, dogs, whatever, it starts to create this expectation and frustration. And that often develops into this concept of reactivity a little bit later down the road. So what we want instead is we want our dogs to see things and treat them like scenery. We want our dogs, I've said this one before, right? But I like to say I've never had a dog owner call me and go, my dog is so reactive to trees. I don't know how to get him to stop being so reactive to trees. Right? It doesn't happen because the dog is never programmed to react to the trees.
Yeah.
Because there's never, like, trees are just scenery. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? just like trees are scenery, we can teach our dogs that other dogs are scenery.
Right. They just pee on trees and move on, though. But they can't do that to the dogs.
So one way that we do that is a lot of people are so wrapped around the axle of, well, I read on the internet that the way to make sure that my dog is good with other dogs is to let them meet as many dogs as possible. Mm-hmm. And I want you to think about that for a second, because if you let your dog meet every dog, and every dog shows up with the energy of a spastic nutcase, a doodle, and they're all crazy excited, what are we patterning in our dog?
Right.
It's that when they see a dog, they're supposed to get super excited.
Yeah.
But then it's fine because you said that I want you to meet this dog. But suddenly you grow out of it, and now it's time for you to obey. Now it's time for them to act a different way.
Right.
And now it's a problem. Mm-hmm. And you're like, but I did everything right. I let my dog meet as many dogs as possible. Right, but you let him play and mess around with and get over threshold on every dog that it met.
Yep.
So now it's like, cool, dog, go to 10. 10 out of 10.
Right, it's always a party.
It's always a party. All dogs are parties.
Yep.
We do want dogs to meet other dogs, but we want dogs to meet other dogs in relatively calm and controlled circumstances, number one. And number two, we want our dogs, if you think of the scale, for every dog that you let your dog meet, which we do want them to meet a lot of dogs, think about not letting them meet 4 or 5 or 6 other dogs. Because we want to start to skew this process into not relating that just because you saw a dog, you get to go play with it.
Right.
And if your dog understands that most dogs, they don't get to play, but sometimes they do, you can communicate the process that, hey, dogs aren't threatening, but you still have to look to me for whether you're going to get to play with that dog.
Right. Yep.
And so it's just a different way of patterning and using that leadership in the dog's mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dogs. I'm reading my notes here. Okay, so dogs that can ignore those other distractions, whether they be those flags that we were talking about, or being other dogs, or maybe just the person that walks across the restaurant or whatever and is like, oh my gosh, it's such a cute dog.
Right.
We want to let our dogs ignore those distractions and remain connected to us. Because those dogs are far safer and more reliable in those real world environments.
Right. When I test dogs, it's hilarious every time we do like an eval. I will like bend down to tie my shoe and see what the dog does. And like 9.5 times out of 10, the dog at the eval just runs over and like bombards me, right? Because they're like, oh my God, you're on my level. And there's been a few that I haven't gotten past like touching my knee, right? I can't even get down to my shoe.
Right, because they're coming down here.
So excited about me getting down on their level.
And the only time they've ever seen a human do that is when they are going to be the center of their attention.
Right. And so if you're not testing your dog in little ways like that, then your dog's not going to be ready for that outside environment. Not that you have to prep your dog to like tie your shoes, but if you can't drop something and your dog not grab it, if you can't bend down and your dog not be like, I'm going to headbutt you in the nose. Sometimes those are the things that you have to like, you might feel silly, but you have to work on those things with your dog in the meantime.
Yeah. All right. So now let's cover the my dog's friendly. So everyone has seen this owner. They walk in, their dog's on a flexi leash, probably 30 feet worth of flexi lead. The biggest one. The owner's not paying attention. They're there to party. Their dog's also there to party, but not with the owner.
Yeah.
They're
Whoever
going
else.
to two different parties.
Yeah.
And they're not paying attention, and their dog is running around.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sniffing what they want to sniff, and they're meeting who they want to meet, and they're doing what they want to do. And the owner looks over, and they're like, oh, it's fine. They're friendly. First of all, if you're that owner, shame on you.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I mean, not why are you
Because-
listening to this? Maybe you're listening to
Because
this
here's
your
the
dog does
thing.
that.
Like, it's super irresponsible.
Yeah.
It's not about, and I've literally had people give me the snobbiest, meanest, most arrogant looks when they've been like, oh, here, can my dog meet your dog? And I'm like, no, sorry, I don't let my dogs meet other dogs on a leash.
Yeah.
At the end of a leash, I don't let my dog meet other dogs that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That should not provoke the amount of nasty looks that I get.
Yeah. People get offended.
But
I'm all about it though. No.
It is usually a net negative process or a net negative event for the dog when you let two dogs pull on the end of the leash to get to each other in an overstimulated environment with a whole bunch of variables you can't control, with a strange dog you've never met, and an owner who insists, oh, he's very friendly.
Yeah.
Because it only takes one bad situation that you have no control over. You could have done everything right up until that point. And for whatever reason, the dogs didn't get along. And now you have a squabble, a quarrel, a worst case scenario, a bite or something that you now have to try to navigate and undo potentially for the rest of that dog's life if it's bad enough. Why? That's not worth it.
Yeah.
It is not worth it because the upside to the dog is so minuscule. Don't do that. And if you're that person that's out there, be responsible. Control your dog. Because other people with other dogs, you can't control every dog. And you don't know how all the dogs are going to respond. And you don't know what the dogs are going to think or how they're going to feel or how they're going to this or how they're going to that. So stop blanketing this, my dog's friendly. I don't care.
Yeah.
Be responsible. You're there with your dog. Let other people be there with their dogs. Your dog does not need to meet every person in the place.
Yep.
So, all right. But let's talk about the my dog is friendly part. That's I take a hard line on that. And I'm certain that it's also because we see the worst situations.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because we
People
get the
have told me
phone
I'm
call.
skewed.
Right. We get the phone call when this went really badly. We don't ever get the phone call when it's like, I let my dog meet another dog on a leash and they're best friends now.
Right. No one's telling us good stuff over here.
No.
If you want to give us positive feedback of like, yeah, my dog actually did this, that'd be great. But people are like, my dog's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're here for.
And that's exactly. Yeah. So, I think we can do better though as a society and just we have to take responsibility for our own dogs, our own training, our own situations.
It's like having kids out after midnight on a school night. It's like, why?
Right. What's the upside?
What's the upside? Like your kids are getting extra time with you, but they're going to be awful tomorrow and they're going to feel awful. So I think that's like a way that I always compare it. It's like you have to weigh the good and the bad.
So now what I want to cover on this whole my dog is friendly is that usually those words come from someone who doesn't know anything about their dog and the body language and the dog psychology, the dog psychology.
Yeah.
Because what most people see as a happy dog is actually an overstimulated dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that stacks the cards against you in the terms of having a good experience.
Yep.
So usually we just have this friendly, happy-go-lucky dog that is just so happy. It's not usually that simple.
Yeah.
All right. We really went off the rails on that one.
Did we?
I mean, I think it needs to be said. So we talked about neutrality. Let's see. Healthy exposure. Okay. So how do we explain the difference between healthy exposure and uncontrolled socialization? So Brianna earlier talked a little bit about like going somewhere that isn't overly crowded, right? Giving the dog the opportunity to see things going on that they don't get to participate in, and see things that they can just be okay watching without overstimulating, without getting to that threshold and then going over. That's really, really important, right? Did you have more to add on that?
I think my only note on that was I think having a goal when you take your dog out is the difference also. If you are going out just so everybody can tell you like how cute your dog or your puppy is, and you can pass them around to everyone for like pets and whatever, it's great. It could be detrimental to that dog though in the long run. So I always try to tell people, if you're going to take your dog somewhere, have a goal for that dog in mind of like what you're going to work on, what you're going to look for, what you're going to focus on with that dog for the outing. And it doesn't have to be all about the dog. You can go somewhere and be like, I want to work on my laptop. So I'm going to take the dog and we're going to work on down. And then you have your dog in a down the entire time and you do what you need to do. But having that goal and having a purpose for taking your dog somewhere is the biggest difference between exposing them to things and socializing them with the things in the environment.
Yeah. All right. So let's hit. I mean, we kind of jumped into this already, but let's continue down this road. So all it takes, what we're trying to get across here, right, is that all it takes is one uncontrolled dog to undo months of your hard-earned progress. If the interaction goes badly, what's the downside versus what's the upside? The upside is they have one good interaction with a dog that they potentially never see again, ever.
Yeah.
And the downside is they potentially have a terrible interaction that scars them for life.
Right.
And that you have to undo with very deep-seated therapy sessions.
Right. And even if you're working like with a reactive dog, one blow up can put you like months back in progress with that dog.
Right. Because of all of the hormones and everything else that goes with those blow ups. Right. All right. So as an owner, you've got to advocate for your dog. And that means this is our no BS advice, right? We do not recommend that you let people and other dogs come up and meet and pet your dog out in public. Except through a defined like meeting protocol.
Yeah.
right? Where you put the dog into a position and you allow the dog to kind of like understand what's happening. What we don't want to do, and so we teach this in some of our public access lessons, when somebody walks up and they are, let me back up here. So let's go down this road, because otherwise I think it's going to be confusing. So there's like 3 or 4 major types of people, right, that are going to interact with you and your dog. We recommend that you just don't let people pet your dog. Now, there can be exceptions to this, but I'm going to say let's blanket it as we just don't recommend it. Now, let's talk about the first type of person that you're going to encounter in these public meetings. The first type of person is going to ask you whether they can pet your dog or not. Now, there's 2 subsets. This splits off into 2 people. One person is going to walk up and they're going to look at you in order to make eye contact. And if you make eye contact with them, that's when it's kind of this like nonverbal agreement where, hey, you seem friendly. Let me ask you if I can pet your dog. All you have to do to avoid that type of person is just look down. Look down at your dog, interact with your dog, and don't make eye contact. That will establish enough social pressure on the other person that they won't want to overcome that by interrupting you. Ta-da! That type of person is now gone. The other type of person is the person that's going to ask you respectfully, no matter whether you make eye contact or not. And that person, we encourage our clients to just have something already cooked up in their mind that they can say to this person and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't pet them, but I don't want, when I talk to clients, I don't want them to be in a position where they have to be the negative Nancy here, right? Where they have to be the person that says no, because that is by itself a little bit of social pressure. No one wants to be a jerk. And so when I tell people, we'll just tell people no. Some people are great with that. They're like, cool, I'll just tell people no.
Yeah.
But there's also other people that are like, I don't want to say no. What if they don't like me?
Yep.
And so for those people, I encourage you to think through something that sounds like it came from you, but it goes a little bit like this. I like to go with, no, you can't pet them right now because I'm working with them and they're doing so good. Or, no, I've been training with them so hard and I think they're doing a really, really good job right now. I don't want to disturb it. Or something along those lines, right? Give them something that they can agree with.
Yeah.
I've even gone so far as to be like, oh no, they're holding place right now. Aren't they doing so good? Because it's something that instead of you saying no, which you are doing, you're getting them to be like, wow, they are doing really good. And they automatically agree with you. This doesn't make them leave the interaction thinking that you're the negative one.
Yeah.
In fact, they agree with you and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, they are doing really well.
Right.
So that gets rid of those people. The next type of person is the person that is going to approach and they just don't know that they're not supposed to pet every dog.
They know.
Right? They don't seem to know that they're not supposed to pet every dog. So they're coming in for a pet and they're going to kind of ask you, but they're going to kind of assume that you're going to let them.
Right. They're going to say, oh my God, what a cute dog, as they touch your dog.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh yeah, can I pet them? As they go to pet them.
They're already touching
They're
them.
already petting them. This person is similar to the fourth type of person where I get a little more hands-on. And what we encourage clients to do is simply step in front of your dog. And the reason is for this. If your dog is actually holding it down and somebody comes up and tries to take that dog's space, if your dog does not trust that you have this handled, they may take matters into their own hands and react to the situation. Mm-hmm. But they don't speak English. So that person that came up and you told them, no, you can't pet my dog, they don't know that you said that. Mm-hmm. They don't know that you just had a conversation. They also don't know that you had a conversation and said, yes, you can pet my dog. They don't know either one of those. They just know that this person, random person, just walked up, took their space, and started touching them.
Yeah.
This is why it's oftentimes a net negative situation for the dog. So we encourage you to just, or our clients, we encourage them to just step in front of the dog, put yourself between the two so the dog can read your body language and actually see you doing it, and say, no, I'm sorry, and go with that first line, right? Of, sorry, we're working, we're training, we're whatever, and look at how good they're doing. Mm-hmm. This gets rid of the third person. The fourth person that we talk about is the person that's on a mission to pet every dog they've ever seen, or they're intoxicated and they're not going to listen. And these are the people that you have to protect your dog from.
You go, my dog bites.
Right.
I'm just kidding. That's what we say on a funny day.
Sometimes I'll say that about my Frenchie.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
no, she bites.
Yeah, sorry,
Don't
she bites.
her.
She bites.
She'll get you.
Vicious.
Yeah. Watch out. She's got those snappy teeth.
But if that's not your cup of tea, this is another situation where you just have to advocate for your dog. And it's the most important one. You can see, and sometimes you get the sniper pets, right? Where you're just walking by and someone just kind of like leans over and just like reaches for your dog.
Yeah.
All of these situations, you've got to advocate for your dog. You have to advocate for their space, their privacy, their own like existence. And so I don't want you to think about it as a you versus everyone. It's just that you being on your dog's team. Mm-hmm. Step in front of them and be like, excuse me, ma'am, sir, whatever, please don't.
Right. It's like if you take your kid somewhere, you stand next to them so nobody bumps into them and knocks them over.
Right. You would never accept some stranger walking up and touching your kid.
Right. If they poked them, you would
you
punch
would
them.
Right, absolutely. And people would get real vicious over that.
Yeah.
But then you got a fuzzy a child with you,
and
it's like, oh, it's okay because they're pretty fun to pet.
Not really. Dogs bite. Kids don't usually.
Most of the
Usually.
time. Anyway, all right. We have talked about it, but I really, really am not a fan of petting other people's dogs and other people petting my dogs.
Yeah.
There's just not a big correlation to benefit for your dog.
Right. And trust me, it takes a lot of self-control to not pet dogs when you see them.
She loves petting dogs.
I have the most self-control when it comes to that because I know that it's not good for them. But man, it doesn't stop my like drive to pet
that dog?
dogs. Because they're so cute. I know.
So those things being said, it's if you're going to go into this dog petting world, right?
Join us.
We encourage you to remove your dog from a situation and change it.
Yeah.
Change the situation slightly with the person that you're letting pet your dog. Mm-hmm. So that the dog sees a change of scenery, sees a change of some sort, right? It's not just a person randomly walking up to them and taking their space. The second thing we encourage is that you ask for a sit or a down or something that you're going to use all the time.
Right. You can put it on cue for sure. I've seen people
put it on
be like,
cue.
say hello or say hi and things like that to where the dog goes to greet someone specifically.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yep.
Make it make sense to your dog. Mm-hmm. And then finally, allow the excitement to allow the excitement for the dog to close that distance, not for the person to close the distance to the dog.
Yeah.
And so that could just mean that that the person gets close and then stops, and then you let the dog close that last little bit of distance.
Yeah.
And if the dog doesn't, then you need to talk through this with the person. It's like, if my dog doesn't, or if they back away, just leave them be.
Yep.
Right? Because that's them going, nah, I don't think so.
Right. And I will also tell people it's like a 3-second pet rule, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, and then kind of like stand up, let the dog create space if they want space.
It's not
and
a
if
massage.
they re-engage, then they re-engage. But give them that moment to decide whether they want to continue that interaction or whether they're like, oh, okay, that was great, I'm done.
Right. By doing those things, you stack the cards in your favor of having a good experience. But not always will you even have a good experience with that. So hopefully this helps a little bit in order to get you down the right path. So we talked about advocating for your dog. Finally, that confidence in your dog comes from these successful repetitions. And I'm not talking about repetitions of your dog meeting people. I'm talking about repetitions of going places and having a successful time.
Yeah.
The more times that you can go and it was like, oh, that was fine. That's awesome. You don't have to have the most epic time ever every time you go. In fact, that would be detrimental to the concept of working through calmness.
Right.
If you have the most epic experience ever every time you go out, your dog is going to go spastic when they get in the car. They're going to go right to 10 because they're like, we're about to have the best day ever. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to be at that like 5 or 6, not the 10. And so that comes from calm observation. Give your dog enough distance to observe the things that go on and not put them in a specific circumstance where they are forced to engage everything.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we are right on time here. I'm going to open it up for questions. If anybody has a question, now is your time. Let's unmute and go. Questions. No questions on outdoor activities. All right, this is going to put me to sleep.
Yeah, me
All
too.
Right. Okay. No questions. So let's move on to listener projects. Project number 1, structured public exposure. Choose a low distraction public environment, like a quiet park or something that you can put enough distance in between the excitement and your dog. Brianna was talking about like coffee shops or something. Grade the place based on whether you would go there to relax or concentrate.
Yeah.
That's a really good rule of thumb. And your goal's not socialization with this, right? Your goal is not for your dog to meet people. Your goal is calm observation and engagement with you. What I want you to do is reward your dog for neutrality. Just being neutral to the environment, and give your dog the good or yes markers when they see people or dogs without fixating, and bring their attention back to you. If your dog becomes overstimulated, create some distance, just a little more distance, make it easier for the dog, and then immediately reset and do it again. You can kind of piece this together a little closer, a little farther, but depending on how your dog actually does. All right, next, the settle drill. So sit with your dog at a manageable distance from any type of outdoor activity. Practice calm duration and maybe even use like a place bed or a mat or a towel or something next to where you're sitting, a chair or a bench or something like that. Mm-hmm. Put your dog there. Let your dog see and experience the situation, but keep them in place so that they work on that emotional regulation, right? That impulse control.
Yeah.
Mark calm behavior with good. And then when they see something, but we avoid fixation, give them the yes and give them that treat. Avoid constant talking. Don't over talk them. Don't overhandle them. Just let them chill. The objective is to teach your dog that public environments, they don't require constant interaction. They don't require constant talking from you, right? Yep. You're not constantly doing that. All right. Just let them relax into it and see what kind of duration that you can get. Work on it and expand it slowly. All right. So that is it for episode 32. One quick piece here. If you are listening to this, we said at the beginning, but if you're still listening, thank you for still listening. If there's something that you want to know more about, or you have questions about something, reach out to us at team@thepawprintacademy.com. You can also download our free app. You don't even have to download it. You can access it at thepawprintacademy.com. It's totally free. You don't have to pay a dime. If you go in there, you go into events, you can RSVP, you can be on the podcast. If you would like to be a guest, or you have a good idea of a good guest or somebody that we could interview, I'd love to link up and help me out with that information. I'm always willing to learn new things from experts in the field. All right, that is all we got for episode 32. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great night.
Good night.